Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Carl Jung. We all want to believe the best in people, but what if the smile you trust hides a shadow you'll never see coming? Most of us have been taught since childhood to give others the benefit of the doubt, to open our hearts quickly, and to assume that a friendly face means a friendly soul. But Carl Jung understood something most people never grasp. Human nature is layered, complex, and often concealed behind masks we don't even realize we're wearing. The truth is, everyone carries a shadow, and not all of them are harmless. Some are filled with envy, resentment, or quiet malice, waiting for the right moment to surface. When you trust too quickly, you bypass the slow process of truly understanding someone's character, and in doing so, you hand them the keys to your emotions, your time, and sometimes even your life. This is not about living in fear or becoming cynical. It's about seeing people as they are, not as you wish them to be. And before we dive deep into Jung's profound insights, remember, this channel is still at the beginning of its journey, and we need your support to keep bringing you thoughtful, life-changing content. So if you find value in what we share, please subscribe and join us in building a community that seeks truth, depth, and self-awareness. Now, let's begin. The psychology behind trust. Carl Jung often spoke about the persona, the social mask we all wear to present ourselves in a way that fits the expectations of the world around us. It's the polished version of ourselves, the one we bring to the surface when we want to be accepted, respected, or admired. This persona isn't always a deliberate deception. Sometimes it's a necessary adaptation to navigate social structures. But here's the danger. When you meet someone for the first time, you're rarely meeting their authentic self. You're meeting the mask. And while the mask can be charming, intelligent, or compassionate, it's also capable of hiding truths that are far less flattering. Beneath that carefully curated exterior lies what Jung called the shadow, the hidden side of the personality. The place where we store all the traits, impulses, and desires that we'd rather the world never sees. For some, the shadow holds minor flaws, insecurity, shyness, or a fear of rejection. But for others, it harbors something darker: envy that corrodes relationships, resentment that fuels passive-aggressive behavior, or calculated ambition that seeks to use others as stepping stones. The unsettling truth is that many people are not only hiding their shadow from you, they are hiding it from themselves. They can act on selfish or harmful impulses while convincing themselves and you that their intentions are pure. And yet, despite this reality, human beings are naturally inclined to trust. It's in our wiring. Our survival as a species once depended on forming quick alliances, on assuming that those in our group had our back. Society reinforces this by telling us to give people the benefit of the doubt, to start relationships on a foundation of openness. Emotionally, we crave safety and human connection, and trust feels like the fastest route to that safety. But the warmth of connection can be dangerously misleading. Think of the overly friendly stranger who showers you with compliments the moment you meet them. Their eagerness may not be kindness, but a strategy to lower your guard. Or the colleague who offers to help you with a task at work, only to later position themselves to take credit for your success. These scenarios aren't just rare betrayals. They're patterns that play out quietly and constantly in the background of daily life. The danger isn't only in the big, obvious betrayals. It's in the subtle erosion of your boundaries by people whose masks remain firmly in place. Jung's insight here is invaluable. Never mistake the mask for the person. What you see at first is not the whole truth, and sometimes it's not the truth at all. This doesn't mean living in paranoia or seeing enemies in every interaction. It means understanding that trust is not a gift to be handed out freely on first impressions. Trust is currency, and like all currency, it loses value when given away carelessly. Let it be earned through the slow, patient observation of actions over words, through consistency over time, and through the alignment between what a person says and what they do when no one is watching. In a world where masks are the norm and shadows remain unseen, patience isn't just a virtue. It's your most powerful form of protection.
How to protect yourself without paranoia. Protecting yourself without slipping into paranoia is a delicate balance, one that Carl Jung would argue begins with self-awareness. There's a critical difference between awareness and suspicion. Awareness sharpens your perception, while suspicion clouds it. An aware person observes patterns, notices inconsistencies, and evaluates character over time. A suspicious person assumes the worst from the start, which can damage relationships before they even form. The goal is not to close yourself off from the world, but to move through it with your eyes open. Psychologists point to specific red flags worth paying attention to, and Jung's lens makes them even clearer. One is excessive friendliness too soon. When someone you barely know tries to fast-track emotional intimacy, it's worth asking why. Genuine trust grows slowly. Manipulation often rushes. Another warning sign is a gap between words and actions, promises made but never kept, morals preached but never practiced. And perhaps the most telling is inconsistent storytelling. Details about their life that shift from one conversation to the next, hinting at fabrication or hidden truths. Jung's advice, implicit in much of his work, is simple. Watch actions more than words. A person's shadow speaks loudest in what they do when they think no one is paying attention. Grant trust in increments, and keep your private life and vulnerabilities guarded until someone has consistently earned access to them. And most importantly, know yourself deeply. The better you understand your own motives, blind spots, and desires, the easier it becomes to read them in others. Without this self-knowledge, you risk projecting your own fears or hopes onto people who haven't earned them. Consider the story of a man who met a charming new business partner. Within days, this partner was offering grand opportunities, sharing grand promises, and painting a picture of mutual success. It all seemed too good to be true, and it was. The man, trusting too quickly, signed agreements without proper caution, only to discover the partner had been using his name and resources for personal gain. Looking back, the red flags were there. The over-eagerness, the subtle contradictions, the constantly shifting stories about past ventures. He didn't need to become cynical to avoid this outcome. He needed to slow down, to let trust earn its place instead of giving it away. Jung would remind us that the world isn't full of enemies, but it is full of masks. Awareness is the skill of seeing beyond them, not by assuming darkness in everyone, but by waiting long enough for the truth, light or shadow, to reveal itself. In this way, you protect yourself without living in fear, and you give trust the value it deserves.
In the end, what we've explored today is a truth as old as human interaction itself. Trust is one of the most valuable currencies you possess, and it should never be handed out as an automatic gift. It's not about building walls so high that no one can climb them, but about understanding that genuine trust is earned slowly, through consistency, honesty, and alignment between words and actions. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This applies not only to understanding yourself, but also to understanding others. Because until you see clearly what lies beneath their mask, you might mistake their hidden motives for destiny. So the next time you meet someone new, remember, not everyone is what they seem. And sometimes protecting your trust means protecting your life. The world will keep offering you masks, but it's your responsibility to look beyond them and decide who has truly earned a place in your circle.